It's Rich Wellington from the Transformative Sales Podcast. Welcome to another guest interview or guest episode, and I'm joined by Tim Drummond. Say hi, Tim.
Hello, man.
How are you doing?
Very good, very good. Yeah, looking forward to this, man.
Yeah, me too. I always, whenever I bring anybody on, I always like to have a little chin wag, before we, press record. But Tim and I have got a lot of shared values and principles and, the way we like to work with people and the way we sort of operate in our own lives. So this is going to be a very synergistic conversation, as far as I can tell. So I want to hand the mic off to you, Tim, and, allow you to just fill everybody's ears with, who you are and what you do in the world. And then maybe if you want to start building up a bit of a picture of how you've got to this point, kind of give us a bit of a history of who Tim Drummond is. That'd be great.
Awesome. Yeah, good to be here, man. I'd say overall, the thing that I am is I'm a coach at heart. That's what I'm good at. That's what I'm fascinated by. I'm fascinated by human behavior. I'm fascinated by why people do things. Fascinated by being able to not necessarily read people, but interact with people and just have a different level of kind of consciousness of what's going on. Now that shows up in, all the things we're going to talk about today: coaching, sales, personal relationships, all these kind of things. I first kind of got into it when I was as a PT. So I've been a PT for 10 years while I was in the fitness industry. And I got into what I started to realize was coaching. I didn't kind of get it at that point in behavior change, simply because I just wanted to get my clients better results. I wanted to make a lot of money, to be honest. I was in a gym. I was already charging a little bit more than everyone else. And I was just right, I want to charge loads more than everyone else. And what do I need to go and do to be able to do that, to justify it? I knew I needed to learn sales, marketing, but I was also realized I need to get more consistent results with my clients to be able to go and charge a lot more money and get all the riches and the impact and that kind of stuff. So really just started kind of getting into understanding communication. Although again, I didn't know quite, I wouldn't have called it like that then. It was just basic reading, personal development, kind of, reading between the lines, connecting the dots to what that had to do with my fitness clients. Because I'd get really good results with some clients and then other clients, just nothing. Frustrating. I'd sit there and I'd think, if only they did what I said. If only they did what I said. I had one client, ran 2 hedge funds, serious amount of money. Dude just never listened to what I said. And I was just selfishly, I was if he fucking lost weight, all his mates would come to me. And it was just a totally selfish thing at that point. I didn't realize it quite then. And I was if he lost weight, all his mates would, and I'd have all these rich clients. The thing was, he didn't listen to anything I said. And I kind of got fascinated by why that is. Why would and he spent a fuck of a lot of money with me. And I mean a lot. I think in all, he probably spent about 70 grand with me over a few years, which as a personal trainer, if someone's listening, they could think, well, you know, what justifies you being able to do that? Well, I learned how to market. I learned how to sell. He wasn't listening to me, but I also took that to say, I need to understand why people aren't doing this. So I really got into coaching. I just found it fascinating. I just started with the basics, kind of, which we probably all learned in PT school. It was goal setting, but they're giving them some structure to that. And then I started realizing things terms that people might self-sabotage and limiting beliefs, and started getting into that kind of level of stuff of okay, we set a goal, we should be aiming towards it, and it's not happening. And then I start realizing that people will say something to you, they want to do it, but for some reason they can't. And then the more and more I got into it, what I found really interesting is it almost shone a light back to me. So these people want to lose weight, they say they want to lose weight, but then they don't do anything I say. Okay, I want to make more money. I say I want to make more money, but for some reason I'm not doing the things that I already know I should be doing. It might even be with people, it's we talked about it, they want to do Facebook Lives. They know they should do Facebook Lives, yet they won't. They want to send up an email. They know they need to email, but they won't email. What happens if someone says this about me? What happens if I get something wrong? All of these kind of things. I want to write a book, for instance. It's it's taken a couple of steps ahead, but I won't do it. I know I should write a book, but I won't do it because what happens if someone judges me? And I just started realizing like all these beliefs that we carry about ourselves, they stop my clients losing weight, but they're also like stopping me getting where I want to get to. I think I just found it so interesting. And now this is kind of what I teach. I teach a lot of coaching. I teach a lot of sales. I think we've talked about this, coaching and sales, basically two sides of the same coin, persuasion, how to persuade people ethically. And then that starts to open it up into all sort of personal relationship stuff, joint ventures we talked about, all of these things. So I think more towards the last sort of 2-3 years, I've just realized the importance of how to communicate, but not just on a surface level. It's like, how do you actually listen to what someone's saying without often them even saying it, by the way? So on a sales call, it's usually what someone doesn't say. It's usually the tone they say things in. It's like, I'm just curious. And below that, and I think something we're going to talk about, is like, how do we turn up on that call? Like, how do we turn up on that call? Because that is normally the thing that, if you're nervous, which you might not know you are, but even if you do know you are, you'll make the other person nervous. And then that's going to be a really hard thing for them to say yes on a sales call. How do we learn? Are we nervous? And probably not even nerves is probably the wrong word. It's other things. How do we look at ourselves and how we turn up on a sales call? Because if we can actually analyze how we're feeling, you'll make a shed load more money. Like a shed load. I'm a bit cold. Man, there you go. I look like an old man.
Tim's supposed to be in the tropics right now.
Yeah, man, he's up north. It's actually quite sunny here, but it genuinely is. I don't know if you can quite see that. Look, it looks all sunny, but it's freezing in my flat. So I've kind of got well known when I started going online and delivering fitness online. I think the reason I was really good at that, and again, it's like a lot of people don't get how can you get results online, because they kind of think that online training and online coaching are in some way the same thing, that they're interchangeable. I'm like, it's a different skill set for starters. When you go online and you can do it one way, but when you go online and you're doing more of the higher value stuff, what you're really doing is just helping people implement stuff that a reasonable amount of it they already know. Some you need to help them with. It's like, how can you do that? You do it because you understand behavior change. You understand how to communicate with someone. You understand how to listen and how to ask questions and how to coach. That is basically almost the same. Well, it is the same skill set as selling. I've been doing a lot of reading into personal relationship stuff, both from a man's position, but also the other way around as well. I'm really interested in that, around dating and relationship stuff from a female's position, because I'm just interested in how people work. So that's kind of what spanned those 10 years of being in the fitness industry. It's also interesting, like I actually did my dissertation on something called efficient markets, which was 10 years before I started in the fitness industry. And that's basically looking at how people behave in the markets as a whole. It's like the old way was people made rational decisions. The whole economic system was built on that each person is a rational actor in it. And it's like, well, that's clearly not true, because we don't make rational decisions. And so even back then, I was fascinated by it back then. I didn't even realize that, 10 years later, I'd be teaching this stuff 15 years later anyway. So, that's kind of what's brought me up to here.
Awesome. You were the kind of OG, if I'm right in thinking, in like bridal transformations when we talk about your online business and like helping people with health and fitness. Am I right in saying that? Yeah,
I mean, I think I've seen other people try and do it. I nearly did it about 3 years before I did, actually. And to be honest, I should have. And someone who was a marketer, and this was when I didn't really know load, started saying that I shouldn't do it. And I kind of fell into the trap of just not going with my gut. And then when I finally grew some balls, I was just like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and own that space. I actually really enjoyed it. One of the reasons it's not clear, and it wasn't clear when I first started, was that I'm massive into coaching. When you coach, you kind of really, one of the things that you do say is you future pace people. It's like, what's your life going to be like in 5 years? Because we need to have a discussion, because we want to get motivated. One of the things that I found really interesting about the bride stuff is, while they came to me where it was like very much, I just need to lose weight for my wedding, which they did. And my God, were they motivated. They're really ready to have conversations about like what their life's going to look like in a year or two, because they're in a place where there's this big change they're about to get, because they've thought about it all. So I looked really good, to be honest. I got some fucking unbelievably good results online, never seeing these clients, not standing next to them. But it was really just, I was a clever marketer, i.e. I got clients that were fucking motivated. Like, you seriously working with brides, they're bridezillas. They will do what this was back in the day with my, my Poliquin-esque methods, which I'm probably not going to do now, or certainly wouldn't do now. But it was like meat and nut breakfast. I'd have these fucking female clients that hadn't been in the gym, 6 weeks before, and they'd be eating fucking meat and nuts for breakfast and doing fasted cardio and shit like that. Like, it was fucking mental. And partly because I just selected a good group of people to work with, but I also understood that if I can get into, what is it? Is it the Nietzsche one, isn't it? When you understand someone's why, the how becomes simple, or something like that. It's like, it's not hard to motivate a bride. Yeah. Really not hard. So I looked really good. Yeah. I saw other people doing it, but I think most of the time they failed.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So Areti White, is that what you guys were called? Or was it
that's what I was doing. It was me. That was just me. Yeah. When I started doing the high ticket online stuff. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So what about, tell us a little bit, just to fill the gaps for everybody, just in case, they've never, heard. I mean, you're kind of all over the place. If you were to Google Tim Drummond and stuff, you'd be able to see the stuff that you've been up to. But for anyone that's not heard of you, like, let's rewind past being a PT. Just give us an idea of like earlier life and what led you to be so driven to be a coach and, be helping people.
How deep are we going here, dude? All right. Okay.
Again, just to give everyone else a bit of insight, I think Tim and I share a lot of commonalities, down this path as well. As far as I can remember when we've talked before, I think we both grew up in households where, there wasn't a lot of money and, people were missing out of our lives and things like that. So, yeah, I think it'd be great for everyone to.
Yeah, of course, man. Like, I grew up like in a single parent family. Like, I had those vouchers, that you used to get your free school dinners with, and like, and at the beginning of every year we'd go to the local John Lewis and we'd have vouchers to buy our uniforms. And before that, there'd be times where most of my clothes would come from my brother, who then came from like a jumble sale, all this kind of stuff. And to be honest, like I was like, there was a line of criminality to non-criminality. And sometimes that gets a little bit blurred, right? And for quite a few years, I was kind of blurring those lines a lot. So I would always make money one way or the other. And whether that was just through blagging or whether it was through like flapjack. I started making flapjacks when I was like 8. And I had a little proper business going. My mum gave me some money, and she actually did this, and I set it up. And I was like, I used to sell them every month, every week in my mum's. I had a little profit and loss statement and all this kind of stuff. I was like 7 or 8, and I fucking loved it. I loved making money. Part of it was because we didn't have much. Like either I'm going to go and, again, you don't think like this when you're that age, but it was like either I'm going to go and make money or I ain't got any. I remember I was like 13, 14. I had 3 paper rounds. So I'd do 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and then 1 on Thursday. I was earning, I can't remember exactly what it was, about 20 quid, something like that. Back in the day, when you're 13 or 14, that's, I was a baller. Like, I loved it. Like, I would just do whatever. And at one point, I think I used to get my friends to help me on the Thursday one, rope them in, pay them a little bit less. I was always kind of entrepreneurial. And then that kind of went into some naughtiness as well. And so I think not having money gave me that. My mum was particularly, I'd say that I pushed the boundaries quite a lot. So my mum struggled sometimes to kind of keep me in check. Didn't grow up with a dad. So I used to just do shit and not necessarily think about the consequences. So at the time that got me into some trouble and nearly got me in serious trouble. And at one point in life, I realized that I needed to change, otherwise things were gonna. In fact, one of my my reception teacher at 5 told my mum this, which I think is, not sure if it's a good thing to say, but that I was either going to make a really good businessman or a really good criminal, which, you know, if you understand Scripps theory.
Again, there's sometimes I believe, again, a thin line between the two of those.
Scripps theory suggests it's a psychological sort of school of thought that, you know, between 0 and 7, you already have your life mapped out subconsciously. And after that, you will do, basically your subconscious will take you to fulfill that path unless you make some changes to it, unless you really bring the sort of unconscious to the conscious. And so she's at 5 telling my mum that, you know, it was one way or the other. There was a bit where I nearly went off on that way. I got arrested a few times. But then there was a point where I was like, I actually needed to sort my shit out, and I did. And I went to sort my life out, went back to university, ended up getting quite a good job out of university as a futures trader. Worked in the city, worked selling derivatives, financial futures. That didn't work out. And then, to be honest, I just went back to something that I liked. That was it. I had no idea what I was going to do with myself at that point. I just chose to do something that I really enjoyed. It was a bit of a kind of, not a dead end, but it was like this opportunity that I thought I had to, you know, everyone wants, at that time, it was just before the crash, like, you know, we weren't hated like people are now, bankers and that, but, you know, it was a really good opportunity. It just didn't work for me. And so then, yeah, I never thought I'd like make the money that I make and all that kind of stuff from fitness. I just went into it because I liked it. I liked training. I liked nutrition. So then that took me into becoming a personal trainer.
Nice. So what did you enjoy the most about then following that path of, you know, all that transition of being a trainer? You know, you were doing stuff that maybe necessarily you didn't bond with, you know, on a really deep level. What did coaching and personal training give you?
At first, like when I was a trader, you know, I clearly didn't like it. I was just not passionate about it. Like I'd still read nutrition stuff, like, you know, when it was downtime and stuff like that. So, when I first got into personal training, it was just, for me, it was just like, it was an exercise and nutrition thing. I didn't ever think that this was all about behavior change or anything like that. And so at first I was just doing something that I enjoyed, which I hadn't been. I was doing all right. Like I made some money pretty quickly. Like I'm thinking about my first 3 weeks. I remember like a guy was reading the profile board and I just went up to him and then in the end sold him 3 times a week for 12 sessions or whatever, which not many of the other guys in there that had been there for quite a while were doing. And I like used to do these body first things, which was like 2 free sessions. And I just thought, fuck it. And after the first one, I just told him basically that he should just buy personal training and he doesn't need to do the free stuff. And he just turned around, he went, okay, and bought 3 sessions a week. And I was like, looking back now, I was just quite good at probably persuasion through just talking quite a lot. So I just talked. That's how I used to sell. And then after about sort of 2 or 3 years of doing okay stuff, I think I just got bored. Like intellectually, I was bored. I remember walking down the stairs once in Fitness First. I was in Liverpool Street. And there was all the treadmills at the bottom. I was just walking down the spiral stair, and I just remember thinking, I'm bored out of my mind doing this. I've got to do something different. Like I can't keep doing the same thing. And it's just, there was always a curiosity of just wanting more and not just, I don't just mean money. And that's basically when I discovered like coaching. Like I had I remember I had 2 clients and they were like the same people, almost like same age. They looked the same, both same job. I think they're both size 16 and they both wanted to get to a size 12. One of them just did everything that I asked them to do. Lost like 2 dress sizes in 9 weeks. And the other one done fuck all and bitched and moaned and basically said, I'm not happy. Like, why aren't we getting results? All of that kind of stuff. And I was just like, and it just got me curious. It's like, why is one person doing everything that I said and why is the other one not doing anything I said? And that's when I realized, hang on a minute, there's something else going on here, which was the start of the kind of, I guess, the climb up into just enjoying what I'm doing, enjoying the challenge of my ego. Used to love getting results with clients that other people didn't get. I had my last one-to-one client. I charged him 12 grand for 16 weeks, which is about $16,000, which is quite a lot. I mean, works out about 3,200 a month, which is probably more than most fit pros make. Like, I got him amazing results. He had spent tens of thousands of pounds on some of the best personal training studios in London before that. But this was at a point where I was really getting to understand coaching. I was doing loads of stuff in person, like understanding people's values, understanding like how do you actually motivate someone to change their behaviors. We did some stuff called axiology. We're doing in-person coaching, which was more about like helping him understand why he wanted to do this, because he had so much money. Like, I needed to figure out why was he going to listen to me when he's not listening to everyone else, because the money wasn't an issue for him. And I got to it pretty quickly, and he lost maybe 30 pounds, 28 pounds, lost a little bit more, has kept it off. We still speak now. Dude was like, he fucking loves what we do. And this was a guy, by the way, who once, when at the end of his session, he was fumbling a little bit with his shoes. And I was like, and he looked at me like it was strange that I was looking at him in some strange way. I wasn't, by the way. And he looked, then he started looking embarrassed. He goes, "Oh yeah, sorry. Sometimes," he goes, "I only learned to tie my shoelaces when I was 19. He's like, "The servants used to do it." And I was just like, man. And I actually said to him, I was like, "Dude, no wonder you got so fat." And like, it was done in the right way, but it's like, and then we actually had a serious conversation. I was like, "Has anyone ever held you accountable to anything in your life?" He's basically like, "No." Like, and that's what I think I did with him. I held him accountable to some standards that he had never held himself to. Like, he would turn up late. I was like, "Nah, it's not happening." And I remember in the second week of working with him, I sat him down and I was like, "Dude, if we've got a session at 1 o'clock, what time would you like to arrive?" And he starts laughing. I was like, no. What time would you like to arrive? And he goes, "Well, 1 o'clock. I was like, "Okay, when are you going to arrive tomorrow?" He's like, "Okay, 1 o'clock. Because he used to bowl in half an hour late. I'm like, we need to give him some fucking boundaries, because that's what's going to stop him putting donuts in his gob all the time. Mm-hmm. And just bit by bit, kind of using the ideas that I learned about behavior change, he actually changed a lot about himself. And then that's why he got the results. And he thought it was the best money he ever spent. Yeah. That's the kind of fascination of, like, think about that. I'm just asking him questions, because the way that you could approach something like that is start telling someone, be on time. It's not going to work. Telling people, like, whoever they are, do this, do that, it doesn't work. So I'm just going to ask him questions and he'll get to the answer himself. That's why I found personal training at that level, or when I understand the behavior stuff and the value stuff, that's why I found it fucking fascinating. Otherwise, I think I'd have got bored out of my mind and stopped doing it ages ago.
Nice. So, I mean, naturally, we're going to attract a lot of coaches and stuff in the health and fitness industry that are going to watch and listen to this. So, what like bits of advice or tips or strategies would you give to those guys or girls that are listening that have got, they've got clients, but maybe they've got those pain in the ass clients. Well, that's how they see them right now, that they're unable to get results with, and they're just banging their head, against a brick wall. They've got the people that turn up late. They've got the people that won't toe the line with the nutrition. They've got the people that won't give it, max effort in sessions. What would you say to those trainers that they could go and implement and be able to change about the behavior?
Yeah, I think, like, there's a few things. First of all, you've got to just understand, like, and I saw Lyle McDonald put something about this on a post of his not long ago. Is like, everyone wants to attract the clients that do what you say. Right? And I'm a marketer, so I get that. Right? I get that sort of statement. I'm like, yeah, but it's like suggesting that you want to go and make a lot of money helping people that already know what to do and are already super motivated. It's like, that's not going to happen. You make money from helping people that have struggled with this, because coaching, personal training, whatever it is, like, it's a necessary evil. They would not pay you money if they could do it themselves. They have to get help because they've tried so many times. So if you want to be someone, especially if you want to be someone who's paid highly, like, you've got to be able to do things that other people can't. So you want to start to understand, like, that's your job. It's all good, the people that come in and they do everything you say. This is, I think, what personal trainers think. This is what I used to think. Is like a client came in, they followed my program design because my program design is better than everyone else's. They got results. And I'm like, no, actually, it's called confirmation bias. They came in, they were already motivated for some reason, and I just happened to be the monkey that didn't mess it up. It's like, here you go. I thought it was my program. It wasn't. It was the fact that these people were already motivated to do it. So we've even got to understand, like, we'll get those people, of course, but it's what about the other 10 people? So as a personal trainer, I'd say I got results with about 9 out of 10 of my online clients. Personal training, if I was honest, 2 out of 10, maybe. And no one wants to admit it, by the way. No one in the industry wants to sit back and go, actually, you know, I've had a client for 2 years and he looks exactly the fucking same as he did when he first started. Like, and it's okay, by the way. The difference between online and offline is online is a results-based business, and that's all it is. Like, it's not rent a friend. It's not, oh, they're fitter. Oh, he's a really nice guy. No, it's results, which is why it's quite kind of vulnerable and naked. Personal training, you can easily have a client for 5 years and they look the same as they did 5 years ago, and everyone's still kind of happy, right? So this kind of tacit agreement that you're going to get into that, well, I'm not going to measure him anymore because he doesn't actually do it. So we need to understand that the clients that are going to fulfill us as well, by the way, like, as I said, my ego loved the fact that I got results with clients that other people wouldn't have. And especially when you charge more, I used to get a lot of people come to me and say things like, you know, if I can't get results with you, or they wouldn't say it like that. They say like, you know, if I can't do it with you, I don't know where I'm going to go. Like, I've tried everything else. Because I was charging everything more than everyone else, they'll go to cheap first probably. When that doesn't work, what do? And so number one is to understand that your job is to help people implement stuff. It's not about information. Like, information is not the problem. It's implementation. The clients that are going to be the ones that you build your reputation around are the ones that don't find it easy. So number two, you've got to have empathy with people. Like, you've got to have empathy with where your clients are, because it's like we could have a conversation about, say, setting up, I don't know, a successful business. Like, let's just say setting up using MailChimp, for instance. How many fucking retarded personal trainers like me couldn't do that and would get frustrated and stuff? A marketer, just that's like that. It's easy, right? So you've got to understand, if you struggle doing anything that doesn't feel like it's normal to you, your clients really struggle to implement health and fitness behaviors into their lives. So you have to have empathy with them. Most fit pros, their ego gets in the way because they get frustrated. They get frustrated with their clients, but really they're frustrated with themselves. Like, that's the real problem. If they were born, and that ends up in an argument. So if we can approach the whole situation with a level of empathy to go, I understand this is hard for the client, and curiosity, why am I not judging ourselves, but what can I do to get better results with these clients? If you actually want to get results with like 9 out of 10 of your clients, you need to understand that this is normally just an implementation problem. You probably overcomplicate things. You do need to look at why they're not getting results. Because behaviorism, I read something the other day, behaviorism is basically the study of what people's actions actually are, which is different to motivations. So all of your clients are motivated, fine. They say they're motivated, it sounds like they are, but what are their behaviors saying? If their behaviors are that they don't go to the gym outside your sessions and do their cardio, or they eat the donut, or, by the way, they don't tell you any of this and they lie, and they step on the scales and they're still the same fucking weight, like, that is the clue to say, okay, I need to start understanding what people's behaviors actually say about what they're doing. So learn. It's a new fucking, like, a new skill. It's a new, for me, that's when I got excited. It's like, hang on a minute. It's a little bit more, there's a level of curiosity with it, I find, because people, when they pay you money, they want to get results because they're paying you money. But why aren't they? So I think if we can start learning around human behavior, in the end, that's what the job is in some way. Like, it's to understand helping someone change something about themselves. I think that's a good place to start. Those 3 things. I think a lot of it is looking at you as well, looking at how you act with your clients. So you get frustrated with them. Like they then feel judged. So then they push back. So I'll give you, like I said with the guy that was turning up, it's like one pillar of communication is like questions and the answers. So instead of telling your clients what to do all the time, actually have a conversation with them and ask them, use questions. Why is it that we're struggling to get results? What could we do together? Like that kind of thing. That example I gave you of that guy, I could have just told him. What do you think he would have done, Rich?
What, who?
My Rich client, when he was turning up late all the time. If I just told him be on time, how does someone like that act?
He ain't going to do that.
No, of course he's not. It's just
there's no value for him in turning up on time because like there's never been any consequence for him.
So then the simple thing is to say, like, start to learn to understand communication. What time would you like to turn up if we've got a session at 1:00? What else can someone say in that situation? They can't say, he could have said, I would like to turn up at 20 past. And I've been like, that's not a client of mine. Like, he laughed because he knew that when someone laughs like that, you know that there's a reaction. I was like, no, I'm serious.
Click.
What time? And it's like that for me was like, I'm starting to understand how people behave. Communication. There's no point in us getting into a back and forth. You'll find a lot of fit pros when their clients aren't getting results get frustrated. They think their clients are stupid or dumb. It's like, just learn a level of empathy that you really need to bring to the table. On the flip side of that, by the way, when your client feels like you're on their side and that you're not judging them, you can then also bring a real fucking level of authority and accountability. It's like if you start telling your clients what to do from a place of judgment, they will push back into you. If they know that you're on their side, when you do bring that, because sometimes I do tell my fucking clients what to do, like, but they know I'm doing it from a place that I care and I understand. It's like these two kind of keys of communication. It's almost like a masculine and feminine energy that you bring to the conversation. Without that kind of understanding and empathy, this just makes you look like a dick. They will just tell you to fuck off. Well, they won't, but they'll get annoyed with you. Whereas if you do bring that level of empathy and understanding and that you're on their side, it's like, I call it like having your arm around them. I have my arm around my clients. Sometimes they need to be told what to do though. And if you can do both of those, that's where you start to get really good results with clients.
Yeah, agreed. I remember I had, going back to, training people in person, had this woman who was never on time, never ever on time. So, after having a good conversation, I realized something that was really going to work for her was to, have consequences basically every time she was late. And we did a build-up system where, the first time you're late, it's 25 burpees and it's a quarter-mile run back to back. And that comes out of your time in our session together. And you do that before we do anything else. And so she was late the first time. She did it. Was she late the next time? Yes, she was. So then she did 50 and half a mile. And then she was late a third and a fourth time as well. By the fourth time, she was fucked off with it. She was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, you've got fit though, right? She's like, yeah, but I keep doing this in the rest of my life as well. I'm late for stuff and I'm killing opportunities in my career and, I'm late for my, things inside of my relationship as well. It's like, cool. But you're not getting any kickback from any of that though, are you? She's like, no. I was like, got it. But you are, but you're just not seeing it. I'm just giving you a physical representation of what's happening in the rest of your life. I don't want to keep giving you these burpees and this fucking quarter-mile run. It's shit. But you've just not had anybody to show you before that actually that's turning up everywhere in your life. And that,
massively.
Yeah, it was a great breakthrough for that person, and then after that fourth time, I think she, after running a mile and having to do 100 burpees immediately afterwards, that was basically the whole session. And she realized, shit, yeah, I don't want to have to do.
And that's the thing. I think like with fitness, when you start to get to that new level of understanding of consequences of not high on our values, being on time is not high on our values. Well, why is that? Like, you don't need to know straight away why it is, but it just is. Like, there's a reason for that. Where does that show up in the rest of her life? If Matey Boy can't hold himself accountable when he's paid me 12 grand to be on time, what do I think's happening when he's got a fucking donut in his hand? when we start to understand like how people behave, because again, we could all be judgmental of that person, especially if we're on time, especially if we're frustrated as well because our ego is getting damaged because they don't do what we say. Like actually, if we just have some empathy for that person, but we start to help them see, like you said, it's like, how does this show up in the rest of your life? How does it affect? Values work is really important to me. It's like one of the first things that I'll do with clients. It's like figuring out, like I'll give you the example of that guy. I thought this was quite funny actually. We're getting some progress, and I was like, right, do some press ups. And this guy, by the way, had 4 cars. One was a Ferrari, one was a Ferrari, one was a Lamborghini, and one was a Rolls Royce, and they were all 250 grand each. And then he had a Range Rover, which was only about 120. And he had those parked in his car park, and he was 24. And it's like, how do you motivate someone like that? Like most 24-year-old guys, they're motivated around like how they look. But he was so rich, like it was like, it didn't really matter. He was a good looking dude as well, but he was fat, right? And so then I was like, do some press ups. This was in like week 1 or 2. And this is values work. This is to understand like what is his highest value in life. And he did some, and he couldn't hold himself up for more than about 3. And I was, by the way, I'm not saying that everyone should act like this with all their clients. Like there's an understanding of who clients are and how they are. I wouldn't do this with a 45-year-old woman, for instance. And I just started laughing at him, and I was like, dude, where do you think being able to hold your body weight up might help you in life? And then he sort of got it, and I was like, and he laughed. I goes, no, seriously, dude, like, do you think anyone's going to be impressed that you can't fucking hold yourself up for more than 7 seconds? And he started cracking up, and I was like, dude, do you think that if you could do 100 press ups, there might be some benefit from that? It's like that. I never, ever, ever had to ask him to do press ups ever again. It's like I was like, and then from then on, he was like, I fucking had a fire up his ass. He'd come in and he goes, I did press ups last night. I got to 40. Is that good, right? I was like, what do you think? He goes, yeah, it's fucking good, isn't it? It's like, yeah, awesome. It's like, that's all it took with him. And it's like, men are simple. We've got simple brains. 23-year-old men have simple brains as well. It's like, all I needed to do was understand what is highest value in life. And in the end, it was getting laid, like, which is cool, right? Why would he not want to? He never had a problem getting, sorry to be crass, because he was quite good looking. He had shed loads of money, but it's like, that's not good. And again, if you can understand with your fitness clients, they all have values in life. Now, it might not be as obvious as that. If you can link what they're doing with you in your sessions and outside your sessions to what's really important to them, because here's what I think a lot of fit pros don't get. People hate fucking fitness. They hate the gym. They're not you. They don't like it. They hate it. But they are doing it for a reason. If you can figure out what that reason is, whether it's their kids, whether it's like make more money in their business, whatever it is, that then it becomes easy. It was easy with that dude after that. Like that's why I justified the money that I was charging him, because like I'd get him to do it. I'd be like, right, try 50 today, and he'd do it, and he'd finish it, and he'd feel good because he now knows what the benefits of doing that are. I could have sat there talking all sorts of stuff to him. He any of this other stuff he didn't care about. He doesn't care that he might die in 20 years from a heart attack. Couldn't give a shit. But there was one thing that he did care about. When we discovered what that was, the rest of it was so easy. That's what I think is a big difference with online. It's like when you're online, it's all about behavior change. It's all about values. It's all about like helping them understand because they're not going to be with you. Like they're not going to be with you for most of their week. So if you can help them change those behaviors, they'll pay you a lot of money as well, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So the vehicle that gets you to that point of where you can facilitate that initial change is through the mode of communication and being able to, also then connect with somebody, which is something that, is deeply ingrained, within what I do over on my side. I know that's something that, you're totally married to in the idea of as well. So with the communication side of it, what do you think is, again, something that we could give, to the coaches or the consultants that are listening that are, perhaps they are getting clients and they're getting little bits of results, what can they learn to do on the side of communication that would lend into, better results, more people signing up to their services?
Awesome. The way I kind of look at this, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm going on a first date, for instance. Like if you're listening, you're a female, you've probably been on first dates. It's like the person turns up. If you're a dude, you probably had first dates and you turn up. Imagine this, or imagine you're watching this. And it's clear that it's a first date and the dude turns up and he's all awkward and fidgety, doesn't know where to look. He's got no eye contact. Walks in, doesn't know what to say, fumbles around for stuff, taking his jacket off and just looks nervous as hell. It's almost like whatever that person is saying after that or while they're doing that, is it going to change how it makes people feel in that environment? So imagine it makes the two people feel a certain way, and even watching that almost, you'd be looking at it, you'd be like, oh God, that looks a bit awkward. Poor woman. Like, she's like, and it's almost like he could carry on like this, shifty, not be comfortable with silence, just not be at peace with himself. Or you can imagine, like, if you swap that for someone who just walked in, and we all probably know these people. It's like they're just comfortable around people. Like it's just effortless. And you might even see that, and you probably wouldn't even know it's a first date because that dude would walk in and he was just so at peace with who he was himself. There's no need for nervousness. It's just like, I can sit here in silence with you, and even though I don't know you, you're going to have a good time and you're going to enjoy this because I'm just having a laugh. I can look at you. If it's silence, that's perfectly fine. I can smile. We can have fun. And that's the kind of thing that if you look at, say, a sales call, you could say exactly the same thing. It's not just about what you say. There's kind of a few things going on. It's like in and out a game almost. Like what a lot of sales coaches want to teach, and marketers, I should say as well, probably. And what a lot of people want to learn is like, tell me the script. Like I don't give script, and I do it on purpose. I could probably make more money if I said, I'll give you the script of what to say. It's like, imagine like selling a script of what to say on a first date. It's like, what happens if she says something totally different to you? Where's the script? Like what? It's like Gus D'Amato talks about, who's Mike Tyson's trainer. He goes, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. So it's like, we all want to know the way to, some of the big, really big names, sort of Jordan Belfort type thing, which by the way, some of their stuff I think is good, but it's like, and again, I know their marketers, so it's like, here's how to handle the objection. How about never fucking getting the objection? Like that's how to fucking handle the objection. Here's how to close someone. How about just say, would you like to do this? Yes. Cool. That's a lot easier than having to fucking deal with. Go on.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's what I resonate with the most. What, in your experience then, from it, because you'll have been on sales calls, right, where you can just hear straight away that person on the other side of the phone, they're not a communicator. They're not there to connect with you. So they're just there to make a sale, right? Even if you're not necessarily a good fit for that program.
Yeah.
How does, from listening and being in that situation on one of those sales calls, potentially like a high ticket, program or coaching, I'm going to presume these situations were, how does that make you feel in the body, in the mind and body, where you're aware of what is? So
I guess, and this is good because I was actually in exactly that situation, and I was a buyer because of just reputation, and because I got an introduction, I was a buyer. I didn't get to speak to the actual dude who ran the coaching program because he was very big, and that's cool. I totally get that. He can't be doing the sales calls. Like, we're talking really huge. And everything about me was like, I was going to buy off this person. It was literally one of those things where you get on the call and this person needs to be a retard to not take my money. Unfortunately, they were. Now, in their defense, they were a salesperson, i.e. they were working for someone else. And for whatever reason, the systems or whatever it was, right? Maybe they don't put as much emphasis on this. And was it my ego? A little bit of it? Yes, as well. But then I was like, I'm not going to work with someone who is this disastrous at onboarding people. Now, again, I'm sure that I'd have had a great time, right? But she asked me what I want. And I said to her, I don't know. And then we carried on with the conversation. And then at the end, she tried to close me. And I'm like, I point blank just refused to do that, because I actually told her, I don't know what help I need. It's like, who would in the right mind try and close someone? And the reason is because, again, it's not her job. She's probably not been coached or trained right. And in the end, like, she's doing this as a job. Like, it's not her stuff. She gave me all the spiel of like, you know, we need to make sure you're the right person and all this. I'm like, yeah, I know you're saying the words, but you don't mean this. Like, this is bullshit. And then
it's painful, isn't it?
It's painful. It's really, and it was just painful. Like, and again, I was trying not to approach this with ego, but a little bit of my own ego did come in. I admit that. But it was like, I'm not giving you $20,000 just on principle, because I told you that I don't know what my problems are, and yet you still tried to close me without having that conversation. It's like, actually listen to me. Now, the reason that to be honest, the reason I got very, very good initially at listening and communication, because I realized I could make $2,000 from selling an online fitness program from someone in an hour. And the first time I did it, I was like, fuck, that was good. And I was like, I want more of that. So then I'm like, right, I'm going to get better at this. Yeah. And then I did it again. And I'm like, and it's like, you know, little Pavlovian dog shit going on. I'm like, I want more money. Like, and I want clients as well. And so I just started getting better at it. And I started listening back to my calls. And then I started teaching other people to do it. And then I was like, now I'm just fascinated by it. Like, I do it with my clients quite a lot. I'll listen to their sales call. I don't need to hear more than 2 minutes. Now, the frustration that they have is, I know they want to tell me how to close. What did I do? How did I handle the objection? I'm like, sorry, I'm not going to listen to that part, because there's much bigger problems here. And I don't say it like that to them. I'm like, if you get on a sales call at the beginning and you can't look at the person and you're nervous, it's like your language, your tone is nervous. Like, no judgment, but why is that? Because there's always a layer below that. It's like the inner and outer game we talked about. Like, it's not how you say those words. Again, if we go back to that idea of, like, you see that first date, one of the things they talk about in relationship stuff is, like, it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. It's like, you can say exactly the same thing to someone just in a totally peaceful, like, I'm here just vibing and, you know, I'm going to have fun. And if you want to join me having fun, then we can. And if not, we're good. And it's just like this level of, like, self-assurance that people would have that other people find unusual if you're on a date, because normally people are nervous. So normally people are nervous on sales calls.
Yeah.
It's a normal thing, but you got to ask yourself why. Like, it's an inner and outer game. So the outer game is all the structure. I give my guy, I'm sure you do something similar. It's like, there's a 6-box selling system. They need some structure. They need to have some sort of security of knowing kind of the process that you take someone through. But the deeper level of that, and again, why I initially got so good at wanting to learn communication was because I got an instantaneous reward. Then one day I realized, like, I was at my own coach's event, and I had just done a lot more sales calls than anyone else. And I was teaching this stuff as well. And this girl was standing up there and she was saying stuff. And I just, without really meaning to do it, I was just sitting there and I was just shaking my head going, and I remember thinking, she doesn't mean this. I was just like, and my coach obviously had seen me do that. And he goes, Tim, what are your thoughts? Because he had obviously read the same thing. Like, again, this is subtlety of this stuff. And because he'd done what I did, a lot of the other guys in the room wouldn't have done as many sales conversations as we had. And he obviously recognized it as well. And I was just like, nah, bullshit. And as soon as I said that, she just started laughing. And she'd been spieling for the last 5 minutes and she goes, okay. And then she just admitted everything she said was not the real case. And it's just this feeling that you get that someone isn't, it's not about telling the truth. It's just the way they say something. And so I became a much better coach because of all the sales calls that I did. Because then I started to actually, like, it's kind of a, you just get a feeling sometimes and you're not sure what it is, but you start trusting an instinct that, I'm not sure about that. And you get that on sales calls. Now, to be able to do that, you need to really work on inner game. It's like, we all know, well, not everyone knows, but it's like, if you want to create a desire for someone to buy something or be persuaded ethically, you should be able to sit there in silence. When someone says something to you in a coaching call, that is obviously something that means something to them. So they've kind of had a shift, whatever you want to call it, like a kind of aha moment. Like they've said something to themselves that they've never said before. You know, at first, by the way, this is a practice, but then it just becomes something that you do just innately. So if I'm coaching my clients and they have this breakthrough and they say something, I will just sit there and let them digest what they've just said. And you'll see, you can feel it in them. And they're like, they've just said something, I know, I'm scared. And they've just finally admitted to themselves that they're scared. It's like you just sit there for 30 seconds in silence. That takes work from the person that's doing this because it's very vulnerable. Sales are actually really vulnerable. That's why people often shy away from them. They're scared about the no at the end. Like, why? It's like, it is what it is. You say yes, you say no. I'm easy. I'm cool. It's not them saying that you're a bad person. It's not the fact that you're getting rejected, which, by the way, we talked about it at the beginning of this call. If you really want to go into it, a lot of that comes from stuff that happened when we were children growing up. Like, we've got these patterns that we felt rejected by our dad or whatever, and it comes out. And again, there's quite a lot levels of consciousness that you need to go through to kind of see this stuff sometimes. I feel rejected. If I've gone on a first date, like, I'm tied up in the fact that I might get another one. And I'm nervous because of that. It's like, how does that come across? Or you go on a first date and you're just like, I'm going to have fun. If you want to join me, like, you can join me. If you don't, then that's totally cool. I'm easy. I'm just going to be myself. I know which one usually ends up making that date a lot more enjoyable for everyone. If you're going to go on a sales call, it's like, if all your brain is doing is tied up and worried about, like, what's going to happen at the end if this person says no because you're fearful of rejection, there's a real issue there. So why would someone not be vulnerable enough to sit in silence? Like, why would someone be so scared of what am I going to say next?
Yeah. There's a cultural belief, I think there's been a lot of brainwashing and things we've seen on television and magazines that a good conversation involves a lot of volume from both people. But there's actually no depth to a conversation like that because there's no space being created for the words to have any impact, whether that's for that person to hear themselves, like you said, or vice versa. So that's definitely something that, if you're watching or listening to this, I say to people all the time, like you say, I can listen to your sales call or watch your recording, and I'll be able to tell you in a few minutes. I always say to people, well, I can see from the waveforms whether that's been a sale or not, because people are obsessed with talking too much, and filling in gaps, because they're like, oh, it's just weird, it's awkward, I want to just talk all the time and make nonsense, when in actual fact what you'll probably find is the people that you spoke less time with, those probably end up becoming like your best clients because they number one wanted to change. That's a huge factor anyway when it comes to this stuff. And number two, you allowed them the space to communicate that. They heard themselves, and then you just facilitated the next shuttle off to the next place in their life. It's very simple. Very, very simple.
And I think, look, I want to give them some thoughts about, like, actually what you can do with this. Like, number one is record your calls and listen back to them. Now, straight away, as soon as I say that, I know some people won't do it. I know people don't do it in my program. Why is that? I'm just curious. Why is it? And I know why it is. Normally it's because they don't like listening to themselves, or they'll beat themselves up if they listen back to it, and why did I'm fucking mad with me? What, that kind of stuff. Like, why is it that someone won't do that? Let's kind of get over that and just be curious and understand, just be honest why it is. And then it's starting to listen to things. Like, I was in a relationship until about a year and a bit ago. And I'd been in that relationship for 9 years. I didn't understand communication. I just, it wasn't my job, put it that way. So then when I then start dating, and I've been on quite a few dates, it's like, I understand communication now. So to be honest, I'm there. Sometimes I just do this on purpose. And it's like, I can practice being better at sales in these other environments. So one of the things that I was doing is like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to practice how long I can not say anything to the person that I'm on a date with. And I'm going to see how long I can hold it. And I'm going to do it more and more. And at first it's like, this is awkward. She's waiting for me to say something. 10 seconds. Oh, I have to say something. And then it got to a point where I was like, I'd sit down. And I've obviously said hello first of all. Then we sit down at the table and I just sit there and stare at the person. Not like weirdo, starey, creepy man. But just like... And then I'm just like, the thing that you realize is like, subconsciously, the person at the other end is, the silence actually allows them to feel really comfortable, intrigued. It shows like a level of confidence that is very unusual. And again, the reason I find this quite interesting to look at is because this is all stuff that I'm teaching myself.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a natural thing, just like sales wasn't a natural thing. I learned how to become better at it. So on a sales call, I do give people sort of practice things to do, because then when you practice it consciously, it starts to become part of who you are. Like, right, at one point in the call, when you don't know what to say, I want you to shut up. Count to 10 and then say, don't know what to say. What do you think? And then shut up. And they have to speak first. However long it takes, they have to speak first. And all it does is it teaches people to be okay with silence. It gives them like a structure that actually, if they do not know what to say, it's okay. And normally the interesting thing when people do that is it often elicits a deeper response from that person. So you talked about like depth. The way I look at it is like a sales call should feel like there's kind of, it's called like emotional spiking. There should be this kind of depth. Like, it should be that if you listen to the recording back and you listen to how that person's tone is, or tempo, or pauses, there should be moments when that person is like, and they're starting to go to depth which is that they're connecting to an emotion. So if you think about it, when you listen back to it, there should be points where you bring them down to the real depths of how people. The best example I could give you is if imagine that you had a female friend that had been cheated on, and she called you up and she said, come for a coffee, and you go and meet her and she's really upset and she's telling you about all this stuff that's happened. She's found out that her husband's been cheating on her for the last 5 years. What tone would be that conversation be in? How would your tone be to that person? You wouldn't be sitting there talking like this to them just every day, oh, well, it's like, that would be weird. You would naturally kind of mirror the tone that person has. I'm using a female on purpose, right? Because you would slow down. You would talk in a different way because she's outpouring this emotion. That's what you need to do on a sales call. And I'll tell you why as well. One thing that also, we talked earlier about getting clients that do the work. The transformation happens in the sales call. So you eliciting that emotion from them in the sales call already is giving them the reason why they want to do this. At that point, and them handing over their credit card details, you've done half the fucking work already, because you've actually helped them connect to the real reason they're doing this. The first time someone actually says something to you out loud, which is a key of coaching, it's been in their brain at some level, but you're just eliciting it from them. That's the skill of someone who's good at coaching, not talking, not dominating the conversation, I know, you tell me, Richard, like, most people I think are so far away from where they could be at sales and effective communication. I mean, they're chalk and cheese. Like, if you actually listen to someone's sales call, it would probably be people actually talking for half the call. I mean, that's just not going to get them anywhere, right? So I think there's so many levels in this of if you genuinely want to get more sales and you want more clients and you want to help them better as a coach or a consultant, like, record your calls. Like, there's so many levels that you could go to that would change your outcome and their outcomes as well.
Absolutely. I don't know about you, Tim, but I love watching myself and listening to myself now.
Do you know what? I didn't used to, AJ, you know AJ Mihaz? Have you chatted to him before?
Yeah.
So I had him, we were chatting once and he actually said that to me on a call, on a live, and he goes, I love listening back to myself. And I was like, okay, right. I admit, so do I. I used to hate it. And now I find it really interesting because I can learn about myself. Like, why do I do certain things? Like all I've done I've been on quite a lot of, let's just say coffee dates this year. And I'm actually just having fun, by the way. And it's not like I'm practicing. I want to still have a laugh. But it's like
all the women out there is just basically practicing himself.
No, that's what I'm saying. I know there's an actual real human being in front of me, but I'm just fascinated by how I act and how that person acts, and the communication that's involved in, like, it can be chalk and cheese. You can go from the good thing about sales, if you're willing to do the work, you can go from struggling to making serious money very quickly. The problem is most people watching this, if they're fit pros, will say, oh, but it's the leads. It's the leads. I need the right leads. I'm like, okay. Well,
they also say it's not about the money. The same people that struggle for money also say, I don't do it for the money. You know, it's not. I'm not driven by money.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard that?
Yeah. So look,
I know we're going up on lots of
no. Say that to me when you're earning 100,000, and I'll believe you. Or maybe 150,000, and I'll believe you that it's not about the money. Because generally, when you get to that sort of amount of money, it stops being about the money because you have enough of it. Don't fucking say it's not about the money when you can't pay your fucking bills at the end of the month. Bollocks.
It's not about the money. Dude, I'll give you contacts for gyms that need trainers and they'll pay you 30, 40 grand a year.
Yeah. It's just not true.
Don't work for yourself, you know. Go work for somebody else if you just want a wage.
I mean, people don't like people. That's the problem. And I get it, by the way, because I used to, this is how my coach, the first person that I bought proper money, bought stuff off, is like, it's very hard to create a metaphor. So metaphors are really a great way of making sales. And you can say something to someone without their ego being spiked and then pushing back. So he goes, you know, those people that work in McDonald's? And I was like, yeah. He goes, are they good at sales? You know, you walk up and you say, hey, can I have a Big Mac? And they go and get you a Big Mac and give it back to you. And they're like, are they good at sales? And I was like, no. He goes, because they're order takers, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, most people in the fitness industry are just order takers. They think they're good at sales because I close 8 out of 10 people that sit in front of me. Fine. That's cool. But go from charging 40 quid an hour to someone who's already decided that they want to buy something and it just happens to be you because you're in the gym there. They probably don't even know your name. They see that you just says personal trainer on the back of they think you're just the same as everyone else. They're already going to buy it. You know, yeah, you just had to not fuck it up, basically. Change that to people that are unsure, that don't believe in themselves. You want to charge proper money that you know that you're worth. There's a totally different thing there. And you do need to understand sales. You should want to understand sales because it's the process that will improve. I mean, communication and persuasion will improve every part of your life if you're willing to go down that route and really want to learn stuff.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Amazing. Order takers. I like that. I'm sure when we've spoken before, you told me that little.
He got me that. I was like, yeah, he's right. Because I was closing decent money.
Yeah.
But it's totally different. It's
just an attendance game for most people. Hey, if you turn up every day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, some PTs are doing, right? Because they just have to. Like, because of the volume of the amount of hours that you're in that place, yeah, you're going to get clients. Because you're just there fucking so much, right? You know, people, when I ask people the question of, you know, if I put 10 people in front of you, you know, how many of those people would you turn into clients? And they're like, fucking 8, 9 out of 10. I'm like, fuck me, you must be on your way. You should be like a sales trainer or a sales coach or persuasion coach or something. I'm like, and how much like you said, how much is your services? What do you sell? I was like, you know, I charge £25 an hour, £30 an hour, you know, and I get that person to sign up for a couple of sessions. And I'm like, got it.
Now there's the problem.
Yeah, so now we've figured out the problem, right? The problem isn't this, it's the fact that, you're charging that. You're always going to sign 8, 9, 10 out of 10, at £25.
I don't want to, that was the rule I made. I don't want to sign 10 out of 10. Generally speaking, it depends what you do, but I probably want about 1 in 3, something like that. It does depend on what you're selling, but I generally want 1 in 3, something like that. And if I was getting to a point where I was getting more than that, I'm like, put your fucking prices up. Charge more. I mean, justify that and deliver on that, of course. Like, I had no problem justifying, or not, and it's the wrong word even, justifying. I had no problem charging what I charged because I was fucking good at what I did. Like, I'm perfectly happy to charge 8 times as much as what a normal person, an average personal trainer would charge. I had no problem doing that because I was really good at what I did. I can tell you now, getting someone to give you 12 grand for personal training is a different kettle of fish. Like, it's different to just saying it's 20 quid. I'm not saying everyone wants to go and do that, but you'll ask yourself this: would your job and business be in a better place if you could sell a program package that's paid up front and that person's committed to you and you helping them, even if it's just 2 grand or whatever it is, 1,000, 1,200? That's a much better place for you because you can focus on really delivering to that client as well. Like, that's totally different. That then becomes, it's never going to be 8 out of 10. It shouldn't be it depends again what you're selling, but it certainly shouldn't be. Yeah. Like, most of the time people say no and they object. It's nothing to do with the money. It's always to do with something else. And that's often that they just either don't believe that your stuff is going to help, or they don't believe that it will help them. And it's normally the latter. It's normally that they might believe that your stuff works, but they just don't believe in themselves. That's what the inertia that you need to overcome. Because most people can just live with being in the same place as they have been for the last 10 years. Like, they'll deal with it. They've constructed enough stories in their head that the problems that they've got aren't that bad, because that's how their egos protect them for the last 10 years.
Yeah. So there's so many great reasons to charge more or move, closer to, more of a high ticket, selling system. Like, we would never have been able to give people what we give them in terms of time and gifts and resources if we were charging, bottom feeder prices. Mm. We just wouldn't.
I mean, I'd even look at it like this. Like, people say, where do I start with my online? Okay. Well, let's make a couple of assumptions that we're going to have to just either accept or reject, and I'm perfectly cool whichever they are. You can get as good results online as a coach, if you understand coaching, as you can as a personal trainer in the gym. Now, someone might be like, no, I don't agree with that. Fine. I do. And in fact, my results were better online when I understood how to coach. So if we can accept that it then is about the results that we deliver. So no one really cares about anything but the results that they get at the end of your program. They really don't. Like, all of the rest of it is just like, we're a necessary evil. We always will be. They'd prefer not to. So if we're saying, okay, well, we can get a similar result, at least the same result, I might work out, what do I charge per hour for 2 sessions a week? And let's say I charge 50 quid. Mm-hmm. So now I'm at a stage where it's like 100 quid for a week. For 12 weeks, that's £1,200 for 12 weeks. So if I already charge, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit less than that. Let's say it's 40 quid an hour, let's say, for an average. That's 80, just under £1,000, that if someone came to see me twice a week for 12 weeks, they would already be paying me just under 1,000. So we're not even suggesting that you have to necessarily charge loads more money. The difference is you're going to get a commitment off that person. They're going to pay in one go, which means they're way more committed to doing it. They're not just trying it out. Like, I just want to, it's like Michelin star restaurants. You don't see them outside giving out free samples. Like, it's like, if you want to buy my shit, you're going to come in and buy it because it's good. I'm not giving you free samples outside. Like, that's fine if whoever wants to do it prep or whatever. And so we're in the way. All we're now doing is having to tackle it's usually the doubt of the person that's buying. Because actually, you know what? If I put proper money in this, I'm actually going to have to commit to it. So it's not like even with high ticket that you need to learn to sell for much bigger money. It's just you're getting a commitment from that person. which is what I want because change is hard. If you charge per session, one of the reasons people leave is because it starts to become hard. And their natural inclination is like, they'll make up stories in their head of why this isn't that important anymore. It's like, that's not helpful for them. They're much more committed. Your business becomes much easier. It's like, you don't even need to always charge loads more. It's just like, learn to get it in one go. That's a good place to start.
Yeah. It's good for so many reasons. You can marry the client essentially, so then like you're in bed together inside of the business. So like you say, like 2 weeks in when they're bitching and crying, it's like, well, guess what? You've already paid.
Kevin Nations talks about it. He talks about like, it's really easy to go out and get in cheap relationships. It's like, imagine you go to a new town, and he's obviously an American. He's like, and you just put everything out for cheap and you start getting a reputation for being cheap, right? It's like, and these personal relationships, it's like, how much commitment does anyone have to that? It's like, that person who's really cheap. You can get in and out. It's no problem. It's like, actually what you want is, like you said, it's like there's a marriage here. There's a real commitment because when you actually are invested in each other, like you're doing this together and that person is way less likely to leave and again, it's like a perception thing. Like I want to fucking charge more.
Exactly. And when you actually distance yourself from like the rest of the marketplace, which traditionally charges by the hour and sells in blocks of fucking 5, 10 or 20, as well, that they can't compare you to everybody else either. It's like, going and looking at, a huge field of cars and they've all got the prices in the window and there's, and I don't mean this to be snobby, because I certainly don't come from a privileged background, but you've got your Fords and your Peugeots and your Citroens and stuff. You go to a BMW garage or, a Rolls garage or something like that, towards the top tier of prices, they usually don't have the prices in the windows, right? And you immediately know straight away that there's going to be a difference in service, there's going to be a difference in experience, there's going to be a difference in every aspect, of what you do, not just from the moment you walk in the door and you see that people are dressed differently. But, it depends if you want to be seen in the marketplace as an easily accessible, quick fix, or this will get me from A to B, because that's how people look at cars and probably how you're perceived as a trainer or a coach, if you're not charging, good enough money. Or, yeah, this thing will get me from A to B, but the experience in getting from there to there, it's going to be luxurious. I'm going to have nice heated seats to sit in and, a sexy cup holder and, a proper brolly holder in the back and, I've got Gap insurance and whatever else. It's just a totally different kettle of fish. People can't compare the two. There's just no comparison.
Well, how many times do you see fit pros go, oh, this isn't a quick fix. This is not about a quick fix. It's not about a quick fix. Well, stop fucking selling them 2 sessions then. Stop selling them what they're asking for. It's like, this is not a quick fix. The reality of the situation is most fit pros would probably know to actually make some changes in someone's behaviors. There's all sorts of stuff around how long habits take to embed. It's 30 days, is it longer than that, whatever. But it's certainly not buy a 10 block. It's not going to help anyone. And it's certainly not like buy per session. It's like, actually, no. And again, this is like, there's all these layers to creating a successful business. And one of them is that, like you said, it's the perception of value. It's like, it's value and perception of value. Those are the two things. Like the challenge becomes you can learn to sell stuff. And if you can't deliver on that stuff, then there's a problem there. Like no one would ever go and say, sell something to someone and then don't deliver on it. You have to do that, of course. Mm-hmm. So if you believe in what you do and your product and you believe in, which most people do, by the way, they believe in their knowledge. What they get in their own heads about is like, deep down, it's like, do I value myself enough? Like one of the big things that really helped me is like, I am not my programs. Like, I am not my programs. It's like, if I go down one day and my car doesn't start, I don't get annoyed at myself. Like, I tweak my car, I get help, I fix it, I get someone who knows how to make sure that it's set up right, all of that kind of stuff. I don't sit there and go, oh my God, I'm useless. What's the point in ever doing this? And it's like, that's how you look at your programs. It's like, it's not you. They're not judging you. Separate that. Like, improve your programs all the time. Get help, like, if you need that. But understand that, you can deliver on this stuff, which you need to. And then it's the perception of value as well. And that is I like the perception of value being high, because like you said, it's like, it only attracts people that are, again, I kind of quote Kevin Nations quite a lot, but he's like, where you position yourself in the marketplace, people will meet you there. It's like, if you position the result of your stuff at £50 an hour, someone who believes and values it at £50 an hour will meet you there. It's like, if you believe and position yourself at 2K, someone who values that transformation in their life will meet you at 2K. It's like, who do you want to attract? What type of clients? People that are really committed to doing this, or people that are just kind of having a little go. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with someone being unsure and wanting to just try it out and all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, that's not me. Go, try someone else out and come back, and then when you've wasted your time and money there, then and again, that kind of comes across as a bit of an ego thing. It's not meant to, but there should be a level of confidence when you're selling stuff, and it's like, that's expensive. Yeah, you're right. It is.
Well, it's a broken business model. That's the problem. You need a lot of people. You need a big volume of individuals that you're going to actually burn through. And particularly if you're an offline business and you exist within a town or a small town, the last thing you want to be doing is just smashing through, loads and loads of clients. You're better off.
Think about what the perception becomes of that town. You're worried that you can't. You're worried for whatever reason you're not charging what you could, right? And there's lots of reasons why. I get that. But people around here won't pay that, all that kind of stuff. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. I charged 12 grand. The dude lived in Mayfair. Yeah, I get that. But there's still people that are committed to this. And probably already, like, if you work the numbers out, there's plenty of people in your area that are already charging similar. They're just not doing it in the right business model. It's like, if you want to have a program or a gym or whatever else, or reputation that you deliver results, like, you've got to learn to sell, because you're in an area that's small. Word gets out. People come and pay for 2-3 sessions, and then they go away. And by the way, normally, like, no one goes away from a fitness program and goes, yeah, I didn't do the work. They blame you. They're like, yeah, but it wasn't very good. Or their egos will never allow them to take responsibility for their own failures, which is totally understandable, because it's kind of what our ego is there to do, protect us from being honest to ourselves. They'll just tell other people, oh, no, it wasn't. Yeah, I went and it was not very good. I think how many clients have been with you for more than 2 years? They lost a little bit of weight at the beginning, but they've looked the same for the last fucking 20 months. And then if they rationally had a conversation with someone else, yeah, he's really good, but yeah, actually, I'm still the same weight as I was 20 months ago. And I've spent, 40 quid? It's about 4 grand maybe. Whatever, something like that, if they've just come to see you once a week. It's like, decide where you want to be. Do I want to be in the transformation game where actually it's about results and I charge a lot of money? Or do I want to be in the hand-holding model, which, by the way, if you've got a gym, I'm not saying that that's not an option and part of what you do. Certainly do 12-week transformations and then get them the result, and then, bring them on for a monthly going forward, and you keep them where they are, and they love the environment, but you're still getting them a result. I'm not saying that you don't, and online I think is different to offline. But just decide your gig. Which one do you want? Do you actually want to get results? Like, do you want to have like an intellectual curiosity about, how do I become better at getting results? How do I understand what's going on in my clients' minds? And then I can fucking get a result with someone that spent. That client that I was working with, he joined, I'm not going to say the name, it's like a members club, E-type gym in London. It's 12 grand just to join. And it's like, it's a gym, but they're just fucking clever marketers. It's like, didn't see shit, was paying about 100 quid a session, was there for ages, nothing. Because the dude was just like, probably a really good trainer, by the way, but didn't really understand anything about actual changing someone's behaviors. Like, he fucking loved me. Like, he would have spent fucking 5 times what he spent, because he just couldn't believe what we were doing. That's my gig. I want to be in that kind of place. I want to be in that place where, like, he'll tell his friends, by the way, like, yeah, it was the best money I ever spent. In fact, they probably wouldn't even care about the money. They spend that on a fucking night out in Tramp in London. It's like, they don't give a shit. And by the way, whatever, like I say, it's different. I was in London. There's wealthy people everywhere.
Yeah.
There are wealthy people everywhere. And okay, might not be quite that sort of amount, but you could easily be the most highest paid, or amongst the most highest paid people in your area. And you should be, if you actually, because here's the thing about the fitness industry. Everyone else tears everyone else apart. And I think that there's lots of egos, but to a certain extent, the average standard of what whoever's fault is, I don't think it's the individuals, but the average standard of the average fit pro is not that great, in the sense of that, because if someone sat here and listened to us blubber on for the last hour and however long, they're obviously committed to wanting to understand how to become better at what they do. That's compared it to the dude that I remember that was in my gym that did 60 sessions a week, gave literally the same program to 22-year-old dude and 45-year-old woman that trained after, like the same thing. I was like, you're doing the same. I mean, whatever. It's like, that's probably not who's going to bother listening to something like this for this amount of time. It's like, we should be the highest paid, or amongst the highest paid in our area, because we should care about wanting to be good at what we do. And then you should be able to, you should charge more.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Dude, this is great. We could just keep talking forever.
Nice. We'll do like a Joe Rogan run. It's like 3.5 hours.
We need to do that in person. That's what we need to do. Like, with microphones across the side from the desk from each other, just like Joe Rogan stuff. Yeah. And then we could just jam it out live as well and record it at the same time. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and we could go off on so many different tangents. I'm going to actually lead you into the back part of what we do with everybody on the guest interviews. I'm going to actually go into our quick fire questions.
I know, this is the bit that I said, don't tell me the questions, because I want to do it off the cuff.
Yeah, exactly right. So I just want you to answer as instantaneously as you can, just instinctively as well. Don't hold.
Is there anything I'm not allowed to say? Any swear words I'm not allowed to say?
The C word.
I'm not. Right.
Yeah, don't say the C word. Even it might. This is like the first question.
We'll try.
So just say the C word if it's not the case. I seem to have attracted a lot of sweary individuals, and I'm not saying I'm not, because I am. But there's a couple. I think sometimes with swear words, there's a couple that you just don't say.
I got told off for saying too many on a podcast I did not long ago. I'm actually not. I don't think I've sworn once, maybe.
Yeah, I'm all right with swearing, but there's just a couple that I think should be saved for the cigar and brandy room, with the gentlemen. Do you know what I mean?
I like it.
Then. So, first question, quickfire question number 1. What is your favourite swear word?
I'm gonna keep it real old school. It's definitely the F-bomb.
The F-bomb?
Yeah.
Fuck. Quickfire question number 2. What is your biggest turn on?
Okay, connection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming we mean in a romantic situation. Yeah, connection. An
emotional connection.
Just a vibe.
Yeah, got it. Things are just rolling.
A vibe, yeah.
Sweet.
It's like we both know what's going on here.
that click, that thing
we
that
both
just
know. I know that you know, and I know that you know that I know.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's going down, baby. It's happening. Quick fire question. Quick fire question number 3. What sound or noise do you absolutely love?
Dogs barking.
Nice. Quick fire question number 4.
Love dogs.
What is the last meal you would eat before you died?
Ooh, nice. Ooh. What am I eating at the moment? I'm doing brasola sandwiches with horseradish and rocket.
Nice. Awesome. Most people like pizza and ice cream. I just eat something really dirty.
That did actually go through my head, but no, I'm kind of off that now.
Yeah. Sweet. Quick fire question number 5. What is your favourite perfume or cologne to smell on others?
Oh, Well, I'm assuming it means on women. Otherwise, I'd be slightly concerned.
I love a nice smelling man. I'm not gonna sway any bias there. I'm just gonna say, yeah, oh yeah, dude. Like if you love the smell of guys, fucking.
I'm gonna say smells are massively emotive, way more than most other senses. So when you smell something, it reminds you of a certain situation with much more emotion than, say, even seeing or hearing things do. The perfume that the first girl, I used to go out and take loads of MDMA, and the first girl I ever actually went out with properly, we just started knowing each other from being 17 and going raving and taking loads of drugs. And there was a perfume that she used to wear, and I can't remember the name of it, but every time I smelt it for the next 10 years, it would kind of remind me of that kind of energy. That if you've taken that kind of stuff, you know what it feels like.
Got it. Sweet. Quick fire question number 6. What is the last gift that you bought somebody?
Oh, good question. What's the last gift that I bought someone? Oh, one of my clients, I bought him a diary, diary. A really nice moleskin one.
Oh, yeah, nice gift. Nice gift. There you go. So we come work with Tim. He buys you gifts. I'm a gifter as well. Not everyone. Oh, not everyone. Fuck, I retract that.
He's just special.
Not if you get a free download. You don't get a fucking gift. Quick fire question number 7. Are you an early riser or a night owl?
I was an early riser until I moved to Malta and became like a sheep and kind of followed their way of doing things. They're kind of like, they're not quite Italian standards, but they're kind of in between. So I used to be a 5 o'clock morning dude for ages. Nah, not anymore.
Not anymore. All right. No, all right. No. You've switched your body. I like it. Sweet. Quick fire question number 8. Tea or coffee?
Coffee, obviously.
Good. We can stay friends.
I actually don't trust fit pros that don't drink coffee.
Entrepreneurs. I just don't trust any entrepreneur that doesn't drink.
Like cats, coffee, socialists. Nah, don't get them.
Quick fire question number 9. What's your favourite place in the world?
Oh, good. Yeah. I'm going to say Russia, Moscow.
Nice.
I had some fun over the last year. Been 3 times.
Yeah, I've seen you over there, like football and things like that.
Yeah. It's good fun.
Love it. Sweet. Quick fire question number 10. Have we seen your best yet?
I hope not. No, I hope not. I think everyone, I think you can get to a level, and if you stop growing, I think that's not healthy and not good for people. I know I'm someone who always wants to get better. I'm probably less mean to myself when I don't. And I know things take time, and I'm probably a little bit more patient than I used to be, but no. I hope no one would answer yes to that.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah. Maybe if you're like totally zen and it's just like you're totally just present, and it's like I am enough.
Speaking from the third eye.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it. Absolutely brilliant. Mr. Drummond, it's been a real pleasure, having you on. I'm no doubt we'll probably do some of this, again, in the near future. Where can people find you? I just want to give people, an idea of, what platform you're on, website, things like that, if you've got it.
Yeah, cool. So you can find me on Facebook. It's Facebook. We can put the thing in the comments as well.
Absolutely.
A group I've got, it's all about coaching and results, get results with clients. So you're not going to get spammed with loads of marketing stuff. Basically just about getting results. It's not just about online clients, about fitness clients as a whole. So it's called the Institute of Fitness Behaviour Change. It's a new thing that I've launched about 3 months ago now. Really kind of helping anyone who's genuinely interested in getting better results for their clients. Kind of got a bit frustrated maybe with I'm just not sure if I can keep doing what I'm doing now. For me, it was like, do I want to be the 40-year-old personal trainer? All those kind of things, like working too many hours, but actually driven from a place of all marketers can tell you, and anyone who's decent at that and sales can kind of tell you, how to do that. But actually, if you really want to understand how to charge a lot of money, the first thing to do is make sure that you can deliver on those results as well. So you come and find me in the Facebook group there. You find out more about my what I do as my program, which is the onlinecoachingmachine.com. You can find out some stuff there as well. We've actually got a little trial that we're starting at the moment, so you can come in and have a look as well. But those two are probably the best. You can add me on Facebook as well. Just my one rule on Facebook: if you add me as a personal friend, which is cool, you have to fucking say something to me. And if you don't, then I will then, because I'll say hello to you. And if you don't answer me, then I'll just block you, because that's like, you could be a catfish. It could be anything. Like, just weird. I don't get it. It's like going on a date and just turning up and just not saying anything. I was saying that. Yeah. So you're going to add me on Facebook. Make sure you say hello.
It's like walking down the street, tapping someone on the shoulder. You turn around and you just...
And then going, hello, can I help?
Don't do anything. It's just fucking weird.
It's cool. I know why people don't, by the way, because they kind of think, well, I don't know the person. Facebook for me is kind of a nice place to interact with people. So totally cool. Say hello.
Yeah. Just don't be a weirdo. That's all we're saying. Just don't be a weirdo. I get weirdos add me all the time. And I'm like straight on the voice notes and like sending little videos, and they're just like,
I'll send in the vodka and condoms and granny little story thing. I'll send it to you. That normally the answer. That's brilliant. From the date and stuff. Or the Batman opener works quite well often.
The Batman opener. I'm intrigued. You have to send me this afterwards.
Yeah, I will do.
Brilliant. Well, everything where you can find Tim, I'll make sure that all goes in the show notes. All of his links to his group and to his profile and things of that nature. But Tim, thanks so much for coming on and talking to me, and I can't wait for everyone to to listen to this.
Cool, man. All right.
I've been Rich Wellington on the Transformative Sales Podcast. Be good to yourself and be good to each other.